Put your hands together and offer a warm welcome to Owen Jones and Russell Brand.
Hello, everyone.
Are you all right, mate?
I'm all right. I'm not sure about this microphone.
Watch that little mic don't go up, mate.
sure
Otherwise,
about
you'll
it.
look like you're wearing a Hitler moustache.
It does.
And people will question your credentials.
It's a
Owen Jones did the event in a bizarre Hitler moustache. If it's meant to be funny, I, for one, wasn't laughing. Humorous person, determined to be offended at all costs.
What was it like growing up in Grays? Talk a bit about your family.
I'm from Grays in Essex. Grays is as it sounds. I didn't like it. I didn't feel like I fitted in. And the only way that it seemed possible that I would be happy seemed to be this kind of acquisitive, individualistic narrative. Get used to hearing that word from me. So, like, what I thought was, if you want to be happy, you've got to become a successful person, you've got to acquire stuff, you've got to have people adore you, you've got to become glamorous. Because I felt small, I felt alienated, alone, and I felt very, very powerless in Grays. Then what happened was, I then experienced the things that I was culturally indoctrinated to believe would be a kind of salvation. Fame, fortune, attention, limitless fellatio if required. And yet, salvation did not come. You know, when I went back to where I was from, when I got there was a sort of a sense of despair that I wasn't really prepared for. The place that I'd come from had deteriorated, it had become worse. Every shop replaced by betting shops and pound shops and talk of food banks and talk of UKIP. And I thought, oh no, there is a massive despair. The alienation that I felt on a personal level is actually a social problem. And we're culturally trying to solve it in the way that I tried to solve it as an individual, by lacquering it in glamour, by trying to acquire money, by consuming. So I thought, is there anything you can do about that, Russell, as a person who talks for a living? And then I thought, yeah, talk about that and then write a book about it, and then I've done it.
Partly what your book kind of is, because that personal journey, what you just talked about, and society as a whole, you've linked them together, haven't you? Because you've looked at yourself, in a way, the change you went through, because you fought your drug addiction. And people often said you can't do that, you won't be able to win, and there was always that voice in your head that you can't win. And if we look at social injustice, the people at the top, they push that idea, don't they? The idea is like, injustice is a bit like the weather. You can complain about it raining, nothing you can do about it. It's the way the world is.
Now, what I think, believe, witness, and it's bloody obvious, is that if human beings have, as part of their makeup, have a tendency towards selfishness, if we live in an environment that stimulates selfishness, if we live in an environment that stimulates fear and desire continually, makes us feel frightened, you're not enjoying your life, but thank God you're not being beheaded, because you could be. Like in a sort of a spellbound state of fear, a constant sense of desire that you're not good enough, that you're not pretty enough. Every magazine that you open, every time you turn on your TV, that the only narrative available, there it goes again, is that sort of Hunger Games plucked from obscurity, lacquered on the X Factor, spat back into culture, chewed back up. You know, that if this is what we're offered as an idea, then the selfish, greedy, the insidious aspect of the nature rises to the forefront. But that's not all I am, and that's not all anybody is. Be kind to one another. Don't get distracted. Don't live in desire and fear, the worst aspects of our nature. Tend towards the better aspect of your own nature. You'll make connections based on that, and you will form new networks, new societies based on that information, based on those frequencies. It's very simple. I sort of think, like, I've not written this book or making this stand or saying this stuff because I think I'm better than anyone else, or like I should be in charge, or I've got all the ideas or got all the answers. I think I'm worse than normal people. I'm more driven by lust. I'm more driven by ego. I'm more driven by pride. I want attention. I want women. I want drugs. I want food. I want. I exemplify the problems of our culture, and therefore I know that they're not the solution. You can't make yourself happy getting famous. It doesn't make no difference. You can't make yourself happy by pursuing loads and loads of different girls and stuff. All you do is you empty yourself, you drain yourself, you're off the grid, you're living in the matrix, you're not connected to the source. You've lost your connection with what is real and what is beautiful. So when I went on that Jeremy Paxman meeting, I was just like sort of knackered and just thought, like, I've been trapped in some sort of pointless spectacle, some senseless illusion. But I'm here now. And people say, don't complain if you don't vote. I say, don't complain if you do vote. That's compliant. 64% of people didn't vote at the last election because they, like me, just think, oh, fuck off. None of these pricks are going to do anything. None of them. They're all the fucking same. Now, like, you know, I'm sure there's degrees of, like, oh, this one's not quite as evil. But, like, is that what we're going to settle for? well, this new one who seems friendly is actually the most evil, so let's do something about the most evil one. Democracy is a gleaming Excalibur. Let's not just settle for, oh, let's use it to mend the toaster. The people that tell us that change is impossible are the people that benefit from it staying the same. Oh, how convenient for you that this system that exploits us and places you on a plinth of privilege is the only possible one. Aren't we lucky you happened upon it? Aren't we lucky? Thanks for that. People that say the system works mean the system works for me. Anyone who says that change is impossible, mark them out. Go, aha, thank you. Now we know you're one of them. You're one of them. You're one of them. Change is possible. Organise, collectivise, cooperate, so that we're running it according to an erroneous system that's bringing ecological meltdown. I think it's more naive to stick with it than to try and change it. We ain't competing with perfection. We're competing with something that's falling apart and destroying the planet. They ain't the grown-ups. They're snides.
But ever since this crisis began, people are always, their anger's always redirected at their neighbours, immigrants, unemployed people, benefit claimants, public sector workers. Why has that happened, do you think? And how can we redirect people's anger away from their neighbours to the powerful who actually are responsible?
It's the way that stories are told, I think, Owen. I think it's like, look, let's face it, we're human beings and we have certain natural tribal impulses, like I said, fear and desire. So if every time you pick up the paper, the only time you hear about, Muslims is, this bus has blown up, fucking all this crazy. In the end, if that's your only access to the information, that story starts to take, because fear travels fast. Love travels a little more slowly. Rationale takes a little bit more consideration. The problem is this: if we're frightened and you feel like you've not got enough and you've not got proper access to resources, you're right. If you feel angry, you're right. If you feel angry and like someone's ripping you off, you're right. If you feel angry like someone's ripping you off that aren't invested in your country, that come into your country, exploit the resources, don't pay tax, don't give back to society, you're right, you're right, you're right. Vodafone, Starbucks, Amazon, Google, these are the invading forces.
Russell Brand, surely we should spoil the ballot instead of not voting at all. And someone else, are you aware that by encouraging people not to vote, you're disempowering them? Other people they've capitalised that, will vote, you know.
Like, people imagine that if there was a sort of a campaign to spoil the ballot, the people in Westminster would go, oh my God, look, they're spoiling the ballots. I think they know we're pissed off. I think they know, they just don't fucking care. They'll do whatever they can get away with. You're destroying the planet. We've got 50 years till total meltdown. I'm going to scribble on my ballot. Now, kindly hand over the reins of civilization. I don't think it's going to cut it. Yeah, and also I think deconcentrate power wherever possible. I think wherever power concentrates, it creates a dickhead. You know what I mean? And deconcentrate it. Don't have it in one person.
Now, I'm old enough to be your grandmother, I think, just so. And I've dedicated...
Certainly sexy enough.
No.
I'm about to make a very serious point. Anyway, I've dedicated my life to try and bring love and freedom to everyone, which has included living in Marxist, feminist communes, ashrams in India, crazy stuff. However, I love what you're doing. I love that so many people are here. But I have one question. What would you say about what Gandhi said, that we have to become the change we wish to see in the world?
I think, Anne, that as an aphorism, it's a bloody useful one, because, like, my own personal tendency can be to get well high on the rhetoric and the chatting and the showing off, and then be a bit of a dick in my private life. Do you know what I mean?
I
like
do.
My mate.
I don't mean you. I was talking about myself.
That's
not
too
you.
big a fucking laugh for that. Like, everyone was waiting. I hope someone's going to point out this guy's a prick. Thanks, Anne. Jesus. What a weight off. Someone said it. You bastards. I'm trying my hardest. Yeah, my mate Matt used to say, you sort of talk about socialism and sharing, but in your own actual life, you're very intense. Like, this is why I'm working hard. I'm actually a viciously authoritative, controlling man. Like, I think I'm right. That's why I'm half decent in a row with them pricks. Because I know how they think. I know how they work. I've tried their way of living. And now I want to be the people's narcissist, you know? He was the people's narcissist.
Hi, I was just wondering how you felt about page 3. You say yes or no.
Well, no, it's not yes or no for me, because I'm a human heterosexual male. So, like, on one level, like that, and on the other level, then eventually it clicks in. No, Russell, you're cheapening society and yourself and womankind. So then I get to there. So, like, I'm trying to be the person that thinks there should be no page 3. I'm trying to be the person that doesn't think that we should culturally objectify women on page 3.
Good.
So I'm against page 3. Yeah. But it takes me a while to...
And what do you do?
I'm an activist. I'm really proud of that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Aww.
I think it's great that we've identified capitalism as the problem, because every demonstration we go on, we're going on the same thing. If you fight for the bees, you're fighting against capitalism and you're fighting against the government at the same time. But I want to just say to you that I've come here tonight to talk to you because what's really important is that all these NGOs and people and everybody that they can suck up into a real demonstration and opposition and protest, we've got to link. And I just want to know, what are your suggestions? Because until now, what you've said, I don't think we've got time.
Vivienne answered the question in the question, I believe, as all great activists must. So, and I think what is clear is that, of course, energy firms have got the guns, they've got the administration, they've got the support, they've got the loudest voice, they currently have the power, and you are quite right. The obvious answer is that we have to provide the facility in this time of instant global communication for a true global movement. The commonly used phrase of think globally, act locally, and that we need to link together. I mean, I think that sort of, if there is an issue as significant as climate change, if, as like Naomi Klein outlined in her book, This Changes Everything, that no change will come from within the system, then we have an obligation and a duty to organise and challenge it. I mean, like, what have I got to think of the idea right now? I mean, like,
But that point
stop
about
fucking paying your bills, like, cause a lot of aggro, but make sure you're not doing it on your own.
You, my friend, have the last question, so it better be good. No pressure.
I feel privileged. And,
I like you.
I like you too. Is that what you said? You like me? I'd love a cuddle too if you're down. And I'm down.
Do you want a cuddle?
I want a cuddle.
Beautiful, beautiful.
The answer is obvious. The answer is by making connections that predicate on the better aspect of our nature, by making connections with one another here, by not getting distracted and deluded, by not yielding to the uglier aspects of our own nature. Part of me is a greedy narcissist, part of me is a selfish guy, part of me is full of lust, but another part of me just wants to help people. So if you tell me what you want to do, like the mums on the New Era estate, I'll turn up and show off on their behalf. If Vivienne goes, right, you've got to do this thing for climate change, I'll turn up and do it. Just develop some instincts. We know what's wrong. We're not idiots. We know what's right. Help each other when we're in need. But we've got these instincts in us. We're being informed like by little fucking Jiminy Crickets that we have to ignore to live in this stupid, mental, destructive society that's built upon selfishness and greed. Find it within yourself. Start within, change within, tune into this frequency that we have found together, unify and confront. We'll be fine.